Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, the Georgia Senate race, it's not being talked about that much, but in every single recent poll, Herschel Walker is expanding his lead on Raphael Warnock, which is very, very interesting because Warnock is the incumbent. Herschel Walker, you have a lot of people saying that he's just running on his name recognition. He's not really running that great of a campaign, and he's being vastly outspent. The last thing there is actually true, and we'll talk about that. But it doesn't matter because Herschel Walker is in the driver's seat of victory in Georgia. And Brian Kemp, with all of his flaws and all, is heading for a sizable victory over Stacey Abrams. It appears Stacey Abrams is somebody who isn't even running the campaign she ran last time, very divisive, is just somebody that is not well liked by a lot of Georgians, and it shows. She's going to probably do worse in the suburbs than she did in 2018. And Herschel Walker is in the driver's seat at victory here in this Senate race. So I wanted to talk about this and how important this is, taking it at face value. I'm going to say why in this video I believe that the polls are accurate to a degree here. Even then, they could be underestimating Walker by a little bit. And I'm also going to explain why Republicans need to win this seat. And if they do, I cannot fathom seeing them not retake the Senate at this point. You've had a lot of people dooming. But either way, it doesn't seem to matter. I believe that Republicans are still favored, especially in Georgia. So we will talk about that, but we have to talk about our sponsor first at Support the Second Coin. It's no secret that the Second Amendment in this country is under attack by the Democrats, by liberals, and by the left. So what better way to support gun owners, gun rights, and the Second Amendment than to get your free Second Amendment coin from the link in the pinned comment down below. It is entirely free if you just cover shipping. You can get 10 per person max. It's a promotion to celebrate the grand opening of their website, and all orders are fulfilled within 24 hours on average. So act quickly and get yours now. So this poll came out today out of Fox 5 Atlanta, Insider Advantage. Fox 5 Atlanta actually had Stacey Abrams winning in 2018. They're not exactly a, very right-leaning pollster. Insider Advantage tends to lean a little bit more to the right. They overestimated Trump in 2020 in the state by a couple points, which was in line with most other polling. But even if we assume and take it at face value that the poll is overestimating Herschel Walker by 2 points, he would still be in the lead here. Which is very important. You want to look at the polls we've seen out of this race over the past month or so. The Fox News poll came out. It was registered voters, which, again, you should probably throw that in the garbage based off of that fact alone. But Warnock, as an incumbent, was at 46. Walker was at 42 in that poll. But the poll since then, and obviously we understand Fox is typically off in one direction or the other in a lot of their polls. I don't really consider their polls to be super accurate, and they're not right-leaning either. That's a misconception. I mean, their polling firm is conducted by a liberal and a never-Trumper. Trafalgar released a poll that had Walker over Warnock, and Trafalgar has been iffy in Georgia in the past, but they were decently accurate in the runoffs. And also, it's important to know that for the primary, they actually nailed the primary. They had Herschel at around 67. He got 68 or so. So they really weren't that inaccurate for the Senate race in the primary. Maybe they are coming around, but either way, they're in line with most other polling. Emerson, their poll had Walker up by 2. Emerson polls are not typically a right-leaning pollster. They've had a decent track record over the years. And then you see the Fox 5 Insider Advantage poll where Walker's up by 3 and Warnock is at 44, which again tends to be a recurring theme. And I believe that as football season ramps up, you're going to see Herschel Walker do even better in the polls because people consistently underestimate, especially on the political side of Twitter or wherever, the football factor. A lot of normies, a lot of undecided voters, they tend to be big football fans. A lot of them remember Herschel Walker and his Heisman run. They look up to him. Herschel Walker's out there. I wouldn't say he's campaigning, but he's been taking pictures with a lot of the star players on the Georgia football team that are loved by a large part of the state. So either way, you're looking at the polls and you're like, okay, Warnock is outspending Walker 3-1. That's probably not going to stay at that same rate the rest of the cycle. But even if it does, it doesn't seem to matter. And Walker is in the driver's seat. He is that folk hero. He is that celebrity. He does bring the star power to the race, and it's paying off for him. It really is. And even assuming that he just holds the Trump margins in the rural areas going up against Warnock, but let's say in some of the suburbs, he stops the bleeding a little bit because it's a midterm year. Obviously, there's a difference in turnout. Black voters, in particular, are not always the highest turnout group in midterm years. And a lot of them tend to be apathetic towards the abortion issue compared to white Democrats. So I don't think that Dobbs is really going to impact much of what happens in a lot of the Deep South. If anything, it might just embolden the rural Republicans. And people might want to talk about the Kansas referendum as like proof for why that wouldn't be the case. But Louisiana had a very similar referendum with just better wording that actually outperformed Donald Trump in the 2020 election. But let's say that these counties just shift right by 1 point. You're already seeing Herschel Walker take the lead. So the real question is, would this lead to a runoff? And there is that possibility, but thankfully the libertarian that took so much of the vote away from David Perdue in the first round is running for governor, where he's not going to have that much of an impact, more likely than not, on that race. Brian Kemp is already polling above 50% or at 50% in most polls. But Herschel Walker, he's getting up there. And he's at 47. Trafalgar had him at 48. Emerson's got him at 46. There's time left. He's going to receive more funding from the RNC as time goes on. And I believe that Herschel Walker is in the driver's seat. And if the election was held today, he would win. And if the election would be held later on in the cycle, he would win. And he's already been attacked a lot for his past scandals, which, again, Warnock is one not to talk about them because he's got the same stuff in his closet regarding the domestic abuse allegations, except you could even argue Warnock's have a little bit more substance to them, but also is being attacked for not debating. And that really hasn't affected him so far. And there have been questions about his debate abilities because, he goes up there at the Trump rally and he talks about CTR, which is CRT. He has gaffes like that. He has a lot of gaffes when he's speaking. But either way, Kelly Loeffler was way worse at debating, was way worse at public speaking. Even though she wasn't a gaffe machine, she came off as a robot, really turned off the Trump base. Herschel Walker, he's a good friend of Trump. I believe that's going to help him down the stretch as well. And just looking at the polls, it's evident that even in those polls, Herschel Walker is doing fairly well. And he doesn't have to do much better than Trump in a lot of the suburbs and exurbs for there to be enough of a rebound. But I believe that he will do decently enough, I guess you would say. I don't think that he's going to ridiculously outperform Trump in the suburbs, but I think he'll do it by just enough to win, probably by a couple of points or so. Ideally, he cracks 50, gets 50.4, and then Warnock would be down there at 48 point something or whatever. I think it's going to be close. But either way, I do believe that Walker has the advantage as of now. And if you flip Georgia, you want to say Georgia goes Republican on the Senate map right here, Republicans are already at 50. The pathway is being led to them retaking the Senate. Nate Silver disagrees. He thinks Democrats have over an 80% chance at holding the Senate in what is supposed to be a red wave year of some capacity, which is laughable. Again, Warnock is somebody that votes with Biden close to 100% of the time. Walker's campaign messaging is decent. He's been on general election campaign mode ever since the primary started, partially because he had the primary locked up to begin with. And Republicans are doing very well so far in Nevada. Laxalt is doing very well from what we can tell, and it's evident that him and Lombardo will likely at this point, in my opinion, win. And if that's the case, they already have the Senate. Then we could talk about Oz and how Oz is bringing the base home, albeit slowly. He might be down by a couple of points right now, but Fetterman's below 50. Oz is winning with independents in nearly every single poll, except that one that had 30% undecided, and it was from the same pollster that had Toomey losing by close to 15 points in late October 2016, right? So either way, we know how polls work in Pennsylvania, especially this far out, tend to underestimate Republicans. Same thing with Arizona, by the way. which Arizona, in my opinion, is less of a sure thing, but you saw the deal that was struck there between Thiel and McConnell. Thiel is now dumping money into the race until October, where McConnell has agreed to dump some money in as well. So either way, Republicans are on their way to picking off, you could even say 53 Senate seats there. The real question mark at that point would be New Hampshire. I believe that one will probably stay in Democrat hands. It's not entirely guaranteed to, but either way, I don't think it's a main focal point of the Republicans right now, especially as the national environment might not be as lopsided in their favor as we may have initially thought like 6 months ago. But either way, it does appear that Republicans are going to retake the Senate, and Georgia is ground zero for that. You look at Pennsylvania, you look at Georgia, you look at Nevada. Those are your big three that if you flip those, you already hold it. Arizona, that's more than icing on the cake because Blake Masters is somebody who is by far, in my opinion, one of the most impressive candidates that we've seen, not just this cycle for the United States Senate, but also just in my really entire lifetime as well, which would be huge to get him over the finish line. So 2028, if Walker and Masters win, a lot of people are saying maybe they'd go down. But if Kari Lake becomes governor, which it's evident now that she's the favorite by far, that Arizona very well could pull a Florida to some capacity, or she could at least hold the line in the state and keep it as red as possible for as long as possible and keep Arizona, Arizona. And it could, turn a corner in the state. So maybe Masters would win, assuming the Republican nominee would, keep it close or win it in 2028. And as for Georgia, yeah, I'm sorry. The suburbs, there's a lot of growth there. Demography is not beneficial. A lot of black voters and white college-educated voters that are moving there. The rural areas can only keep the state so red for so long. A lot of them are maxed out. I'm kind of a doomer on Georgia, but it's not like the stats don't back me up on it. But either way, who knows if Walker goes in there and he can maintain his star power and still be Herschel Walker, then maybe he could keep it. I think he'd outperform whatever Republican would be running at that point in 2028. Who knows who it's going to be, but I don't know if he'd win it then. But I'm more focused on 2022. We can get to 2028 in 6 years. We have a long way to go between now and then. But it's crazy to think about that we're getting closer to the 2028 election after this November than we were to the 2016 election. That's very interesting because a lot of people won't think about it that way. But either way, Republicans, I think they're in the driver's seat. I really do. And a lot of people will criticize me for it and say it won't age well. But the data backs me up. The metrics back me up. And we'll see what happens when it's all said and done. But Herschel Walker, he definitely, in my opinion, as of right now, is the favorite. And if he can finish, if Laxalt can finish, and Masters and Oz get over the hump, you're looking at 53 Senate seats. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.